ladies and gentlemen, good people and not so good people. And you decide where you at on that. This is your boy, Cool McCain. And I'm joined by my guy, my cousin from another auntie, the couch coach. My man with the 4-12 on there.
Yeah, man. Hey, I gotta wear it. I came in talking cash, you know what? In September saying we was gonna win the NFC East. Didn't happen, so hey, I gotta wear the record on my face. So hey, you know.
I respect that. I respect that.
For sure.
Yeah, I respect that. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been 2 weeks since y'all done had the Beast. So, just in case you maybe just run across this for the first time, or the extended break may have made you forget, the NFC Beast is the NFC Best. And you want to know why? As a matter of fact, it's the NFL Best. You want to know why? Name another team that has name another division that every team has won at least 2 Super Bowls. Not one, but at least 2 Super Bowls. I'm gonna stop you right there. You can't name another one that all 4 teams have won at least 1 Super Bowl. So until you can get with us, you can't get like us. The NFC Beast, again, as I just said, is the NFC Best. So, and the NFL's best. You can't even dispute it. Facts are the facts. Down year for the division, unfortunately. We'll get to the full breakdown of the playoffs, but yeah, tough year. You know, we have fluctuations. We have some years where multiple teams get in. We have some years where only one gets in. This is definitely a one team getting in year for the NFC Beast, but that's okay. Things happen, right? Like this guy sitting beside me, I will say this. You know, I'm not a fan of any team in the division. I'm not a fan of anybody but the Eagles. I'm not one of those. My second team is this and that. The Titans were my honorary second team for 3 years because they gave us A.J. Brown, but that's over and done with now, so they're back with everybody else. But I will say I feel like if Jaden Daniels had been able to stay healthy this year, that we would see a different Washington team. Not necessarily saying they would be shoe-in for the playoffs, but I think they'd at least be fighting for the playoffs and not where they're sitting at right now. I think a good quarterback will give you 4 more wins, right? You're 4-12 now. I think if he's there, you have at least 8 wins that at least push you with the outside shot to get in. So, you know, for those who say quarterbacks don't matter, or, you know, a quarterback is a system quarterback, that may be true in some cases, but at the same time, he still has to excel in that system or his team can't win.
I agree.
And I'm just happy that they actually shut Jaden Daniels down because I ain't want him to be another RG3. Let that man get healthy this offseason. You know, a lot of talk has been had about him and about sliding, you know, because ironically, it seems to come up in the same conversations with Jalen Hurts and how he's not a top-tier quarterback. But with Jaden Daniels, I think the thing is a lot of people talk about how he takes too many hits. But the plays he's getting hurt on are not like run plays.
Right. It's just run-of-the-mill type plays.
Yeah.
And, like, I agree with you because I looked at it how the schedule played out where you really had 2 short weeks. I know a lot of people think, oh, well, you got a short week. But, you know, obviously we'll talk about the Saturday game against Philly and then also the Christmas Day game. So you think you got 2 games in 5 days. That's not conducive for somebody who's still not 100%, and this team isn't going anywhere. So it's, you know, like you said, you would rather have a guy going into the offseason being able to actually, you know, train and get better versus rehab and, you know, in the offseason. So for sure.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to do what's best for the player and the team and sit him.
Yeah.
They don't never want to sit, but it's not their decision.
Yeah.
Anytime you're going to let the player be the decision maker, I think you're in for a rude awakening. They don't care about nothing but winning.
Yep.
But that's how that's programmed.
And and like you said, the quarterback situation, we got a team in the AFC South. They got a 44-year-old quarterback and Phillip Rivers playing. That just goes to show you kind of indicative of the quarterback play and all that happens where you're pulling a guy that hasn't played a game in 5 years. But that shows you like the quarterback play in this league, how it is. Like you just this is this situation where quarterbacking is not an easy thing to have if you're pulling guys from pretty much coaching high school football 6 weeks ago.
Shout out to him. He went from coaching college football. He's a granddad,
Yep.
and he managed to tick off Cam Newton as well.
Right.
So
Yeah.
he accomplished a lot.
He got a child. He got a child older than Riley Leonard. His backup. That speaks volumes. So
yeah, man. Absolutely, man. So we're gonna go ahead, y'all, and take the time machine way back to week 15. And pick up from there. So week 15, we had the Washington Commanders go to the worst field in the NFL, in my opinion, and play the Giants on the worst field in the NFL, and come out with a 29-21 win. Coach, what was your thoughts on that game?
It was a relief. It was getting to a point where we were really thinking that the Commanders wasn't going to win a game for the rest of the season. The last time this team won a game was October the 5th versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Snapping a win streak like that was amazing. Obviously, you jumped off to the 22-7 lead. The Giants, kind of came back in that game, but we ended up pulling out the victory. You look at like Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota was very efficient in that game. I want to say Marcus Mariota at that juncture, he was 10 for 19, 211 passing yards, and one touchdown. Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt, a.k.a. Bill, he did his thing. He was a few yards short of 100 yards. The thing about it, like we talked about, we talked about the injuries on this team. Terry coming back, he scored a touchdown in this game. He just looked like Debo. He had a few good catches. Ben Snott, our tight end, he did his thing. And yeah, you think about it compared to the previous week, the heartbreaker, obviously losing to the Vikings 31-0. Our guy Zach Ertz, devastating injury in that game. So it's just one of those where it is a good thing to win because it was a lot because that's how I call it. I wouldn't necessarily say it was a season saving win, but it's one of those wins where we looked at if they would lose out, what would be the future of DQ? I still think he's safe, but I think if he would have essentially would it probably would have been because we were 3-2. If he would have lost out, I'm doing some quick math in my head. If he would have lost 11 straight, then there would have been some questions. Or potentially, as far as him being on the hot seat going into the 2026 season. So even though he'll still be on it, but just the fact that he's not going to lose out the last 11 games of the season. Well, last 12 games of the season. So, shout out to them. And once again, like the Giants at the bottom of the division, and they got a fight on their hands this upcoming week. We'll talk about that, later on for the battle for the number 1 overall pick. So it's gonna be interesting.
All I'm gonna say about John's game is the Giants understood the assignment.
Pretty much.
Make it look good, but we need that L.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on here. Raiders, Eagles. Eagles put up a 31 burger and gave up 0 points to the Raiders. A much needed win for my Philadelphia Eagles. Still pissed, but much needed win because free falling is not a thing to do when you're trying to clinch a playoff spot. I maintain the theory in my mind. I don't know if I've said it on here or not, but I maintain the theory in my mind that Hard Knocks had a big part to do with the Eagles in that quick skid. Because if the Eagles wrap up the division the first week of Hard Knocks, what is Hard Knocks about? Right? So we got a couple of weeks of Hard Knocks. Dallas had a impromptu run to at least give themselves a chance for a couple of weeks. So it makes for good TV, makes for good entertainment, right? So I think they had a part to do with it. But this game, we saw a much better Eagles team. We saw a much more focused, I believe, Eagles team. Um, People say, "Oh, you're bragging because you beat the Raiders." We lost to the Giants, the 2-12 Giants. One of those 2 wins is against the Philadelphia Eagles. So don't come to me and say, "Oh, it's just the Raiders." We lost to the Giants. Anybody can beat anybody. So I'm celebrating every win. It's another professional football team.
Win is a win.
And guaranteed, somebody told me, and this was Eagles fan, somebody told me, said, they couldn't even beat a college team. I told him, I said, let me tell you something, man. You put the Las Vegas Raiders up against Alabama, Indiana, whoever you consider to be the best team in college football, and watch them get dog walked.
Right.
This is NFL caliber talent. All of these guys on these teams were either the better players in college or hidden gems that weren't used properly.
Right.
And these are grown men, not boys. So let's don't do that.
It's levels to it because you have to at least play 3 years of collegiate football to even get into the NFL.
Yep.
And none of these guys are eligible at that point to get to the NFL. So right, there's levels to it. Levels. Let's just keep it.
And to blank any team in the NFL, that's a feat in itself. I'm not saying I'm walking around.
Yeah.
The Eagles gonna win the Super Bowl because we beat the Raiders, but we beat an NFL team and we blanked them. We put up 31 on them and we blanked them. I'm good with that. I'm elated with that, and I'm rocking with that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it. Well, I don't understand like this whole psychosis behind what's a good win versus a bad win. No, you got to think about it. When you lose games, okay, that's when you do some self evaluation and you go back to the drawing board. This could be another one where this could be a springboard going forward for this Philadelphia Eagles team. You have to have that's about playing the schedule. Granted, yes, you look at the schedule. I mean, it is what it is. You played to your schedule. We knew this game was going to be, in week 15 when the schedule was released in May. So it's just like a win is a win, regardless. Like you said, it's professional football. Where anybody can be anybody any given day. We've seen that week in and week out. You'll see a lot of this throughout the league because that's just what it is.
Like I said, our first loss
to
the 2-12 Giants.
Yeah.
It's
division. Yeah, it's division.
Yeah, don't come with me talking about no whatever, because anybody could beat anybody.
Right. It's NFL.
You know what I'm saying? All right, then we're going to slide on over to Sunday Night Football. December the 14th. Eagles get a win. Cowboys lose 34-26, loss to the Vikings. This basically puts Dallas into a you now need help situation to get into the playoffs, right? And that would have to have been by winning the division, but this puts us one win away or one Cowboys loss away from clinching the division because of them losing to the Vikings. But Couch Coach, you have any thoughts on the Cowboys and Vikings game?
This is yet again another primetime key loss for this Dallas Cowboys team. Just kudos to Minnesota. They're another team that's just been, as far as when it comes to the in and out lineups with JJ McCarthy and obviously the devastating injury to Carson Wentz a few weeks ago. So this is another team that's kind of getting themselves together. But huge kudos to Brian Flores and that defense. This is another one where I think it's funny because somebody asked me the other day, as far as who you think, as far as the coaching candidates coming up in this coaching cycle, and I think we really have to start bringing Brian Flores back into the fold because a lot of people, because you hear other recycled coaches getting their name back in their head, and I'm like, that defense is incredible. Like, we, not to kind of go a little jump forward, but they had a performance in and one of the weeks that we're going to discuss that was pretty well. So, Minnesota is another team, and they're another one where, gosh, if they would have had some breaks in the beginning of the season, they could be in a different spot. So, they're another team, playing almost similar to the Cowboys, where this was like a must-win for them, too, to keep their playoff hopes alive in Week 15. So, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we've said this about Dallas for the last couple of years, and, I'm kind of beating a dead horse in a way, but Dallas is one of those teams that seems to have some really good football right before you get into December or just the beginning of December, maybe like the first week. And then after that, you kind of they've been tracking downwards to that collapsing range. Yep. And that's a consistent thing for Dallas the last few years. And it's not to, dump on Dallas or like I had Dallas. It's just you follow the patterns. You look at what people have done, and that's what you expect them to continue to do until they do something different. So Dallas has got to find a way to put it together offensively and defensively after Week 14, because that's kind of where they start to have trouble at.
Yeah.
So until they can do that, it's hard. Until they consistently do that. I won't say they haven't done it at all in the last 5 years, but I'm saying consistently do that. It's going to be hard for you to compete.
Mm-hmm.
Unless everybody was in the division is so bad you've already won it by then.
Right.
Because Hard Knocks is not coming. You cannot convince me otherwise. Trust and believe you cannot convince me otherwise. I'm not saying that's all of it, but again, it did make for some good TV. It gave SportsCenter a whole lot to talk about. I know they were happy about that.
Big time.
All right, Saturday, December 20th. Eagles slide out with a 29-18 win against the Washington Commanders. I'm going to just quickly say a few things, and then Coach, it's yours, bro. I feel like this was a closer game than what it ended up being score-wise in the end. They have a couple of explosive plays at the end of the game. The Commanders lost their backup quarterback in Mariota, and they had to play Josh Johnson. And if you're not familiar with Josh Johnson, let's just say there's a reason why he's a third-string journeyman. Good enough to be in the league, but he's not a guy you want out unless the game is decided. So, I mean, I'm taking all wins, but I'm being fair and saying the Commanders were hanging in there pretty good with us until Mariota got knocked out. Like I said, the defense did get stops, but it felt a little bit closer than 29-18. And that's we're only talking about 11 points, but honestly, it felt a little closer than that to the end. Jake Elliott, you might have some eggs on your house, sir, after those 2 missed field goals. Those are the type of things that really tick off Eagles fans. And I know because I'm one. Make your field goals. You get those opportunities for field goals, you have to be able to convert those. We were able to get out of Washington with the win, even considering that. But that's not something that you can, expect to be something that's going to be something you can overcome consistently. So got to be better in that aspect of the game. Ran the ball a little bit better than we had been. Got a big explosive play from Saquon. Got a nice one from Tank Bigsby as well. So the ground game was better. We threw the ball with success. And, I mean, we did enough to win a divisional game. So I'm not sitting here saying, oh, we should have beat the Commanders 45-7 or anything. We won a divisional game. We did enough to get the win. Got us to 10 wins. Clinched the division, so Dallas is not going to be in the playoffs again. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, but I think the Commanders showed a lot of heart in that game. We did end up getting into a little bit of a brouhaha or some fisticuffs later in the game. No one got suspended for that because it was really just a bunch of pushing and trash talking. Why are you swinging at people's head and they got helmets on? It's not really smart anyway. But yeah. I thought it was a solid matchup. Good old-fashioned NFC East football at the end of the season. I hate that our games are so crunched together at the end of the season and we get a chance to see y'all before all the injuries and everything, because that would have been a fun game. But hey, like you said, we can't control the schedule.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. Obviously, I look at this Commanders team. You've seen moments where they don't look like they have given up. Like I mentioned earlier, the Minnesota game, losing 31-0. I mean, there's plenty of games throughout the season where it looked like they quit. This team did show some resolve. They did have a 7. They had a 10-7 lead in the second quarter. Like we had mentioned, as Cool mentioned earlier, pretty much the biggest thing in this game was the injury to Marcus Mariota. He kind of had us, and floated this game. And unfortunately, with that injury, with the quad and also with the hand injury, he was out for the rest of the game. Insert Josh Johnson, who actually was here, a part of the Washington Commanders team in 2018, had a solid win over Jacksonville Jaguars at that time to keep our playoff hopes alive in the 2018 season. And that was the season where we had the Alex Smith injury. Then we had I call it the cavalcade of quarterbacks, Colt McCoy, Mark Sanchez, and you name it. We had on that roster in the post Alex Smith injury in 2018. But I digress about that point. This is another one where it was like we said, a knockout, drag out NFC East battle. But the Commanders fall short yet again. But at least you've seen in this one, you've seen the fight to the end. I think this is another one where I think if Mariota would have been in this game probably would have been a little bit more closer. Obviously, the 11 points, like we said, isn't really indicative of a situation where it was like lopsided in a sense. But this game was competitive throughout the end. Obviously, you look at even when it was 29-10 after the take Bixby's touchdown, and then obviously Chris Rodriguez ran it in, and that pretty much summed up the 29-18, and we did go for 2. They also went for 2, so that was another battle too, where the two teams were going for 2 for their 2-point conversion. So that got a little chippy, but that's what it is. This is the NFC East. This is a rivalry. Like we said, this although it's a unit, but we all it's competitive. It's one of those where you always get the best out of each one. Like Cool mentioned earlier, even the Eagles losing to a think about it, the Giants. One of their 2 wins was against the Philadelphia Eagles. So it's like how the worst team beat the first place team. That's how it is in the NFC East. That's how most divisions do division rivalries, because you're intimately familiar with these teams, and that's essentially you build your team around the personnel of other teams. So like obviously you look at Dallas, you look at us, the Commanders, you look at the Giants. We're gonna try to find ways to kind of stop the Philadelphia Eagles and kind of essentially almost it's like a chess match. So it's just one of those things where, hey, we're gonna always try to find ways to try to match up better with these teams. So that's why when you see these games, they're always gonna be competitive. You might see some one-sided games from time to time, but even regardless of the circumstances, you're gonna have some some close games between divisional foes.
I feel it, man. I feel it. All right. After that, Eagles Commanders Saturday night game, which was very cold, by the way. I was there. Great environment. It was fun. For sure. The Chargers put a pounding on the Dallas Cowboys, 34-17. And all I can really say is I wish I had started my Chargers players that week.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, man. Any thoughts on that one, Couch Coach?
Yeah, I mean, that one was another one. It's funny how, obviously when we playing on Saturday, had an opportunity to kind of look at some of these games. And, yeah, I mean, once again, this is, two teams going in 2 different directions. A Chargers team that definitely needed this type of win because of, obviously, with the playoff seeding and just them trying to kind of get themselves in a better predicament. The Chargers just look like, they're in midseason form. The Dallas, the defense, the Cowboys defense yet again kind of let them down in a sense, and it's just another like you said, another December collapse for this Dallas Cowboys team, and it's
It is tough, man. It's tough to like you laugh and Dallas is gonna choke again, but you like one of these years they're not.
right.
But it's not this year.
Yeah, we just haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Right.
All right, and then also on Sunday we had the Minnesota Vikings with a 16-13 win over the New York Football Giants. All I want to say about this game, Couch Coach, is this: the Vikings look terrible. The Giants just are like, you know what? We got 2 wins. So what are we gonna do? Like, let's be honest. This Giants team has got to be like, we have the number 1 pick, and we don't want to lose that like we did last year, winning a meaningless game.
Yeah.
So in my mind, the Giants, they had a close game, but at the end of the day, attrition is hurting them. They missing neighbors, they're missing some very important pieces, and you can tell.
Yep.
And it's like this Vikings team doesn't look great, and they're gonna be without McCarthy, I think, this week.
Yeah,
because he got knocked out in this game. And I gotta tell you, the quarterback they have that was playing behind McCarthy when Wentz got hurt.
Was it Bosmer?
Something like that. He's he's just not ready to play. Like, I'm not even gonna down him and say like he's a terrible quarterback. That kid's just not really ready to play. But when the 2 guys in front of you are hurt, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But the Giants, the Giants were smart to lose this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like you said, and I think it will be really interesting. Our conversation in the next couple of weeks as the season ends, and what should the Giants do? Because I'm really kind of curious. People thought process on what they should do at number 1 if they get there, which we'll probably next week, whatever. But anyway, this is another one. Yet again, we talked about the Minnesota Vikings, almost like similar to the, them winning against Dallas. They just found a way, and that's one thing about this Minnesota Vikings team. You just think to yourself, if you would have had pretty much J.J. McCarthy playing the whole entire season, because obviously you think about it, at the beginning of the season, they had that good win over the Chicago Bears. We thought, Minnesota could be kind of back to maybe not to 14 wins that they did last year, because obviously without Sam Darnold, but you figured this team was going to, at least do something. But it's another one where they took care of business. And that's one thing, too, where it may be the ugliest of wins. And, they had another ugly win following that. So it's just one of those where it's just they just get it done. And like you said, the Giants, like you said, at this point, at 2-13. Right. Why not get that number 1 overall pick and kind of figure out who's gonna be that person for you?
That's what I'm saying. Though, if you got the number 1 pick, you can always trade down, stay in the top 5, and still get probably, if not your number 1 target, number 2.
Yeah, that, or even if you wanted to get rid of Dart, not necessarily you can get a first-round pick, but I think you can get some draft capital from that. So, hey, you could probably maybe get a 3rd-round pick or whatever. Who knows what you could get out of that if you decide to do that, or like you said, or trade down. And that's the thing about it. It's gonna be the intrigue of it, because your move is gonna show me your thought process of Jackson Dart going forward. That's another one where a guy that because they traded up for him.
And
my memory serves correct,
are a tough spot.
Yeah. So and it's gonna be really it's gonna be really telling of what they're gonna do if they officially become on the clock. Going to Pittsburgh in the draft in April. So, it's gonna be a fun off season for them, and trying to find a new head coach. So, fun times ahead for the Giants for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting for sure.
Yeah.
All right, then we're moving on over to go ahead and prep you for week 17. So we'll prep you for some games, but we are going to go ahead and talk about one of the games that involved two teams in the division because why are we waiting? On Sunday, you won't see the Cowboys and Commanders. You know why? They played on Thursday, December 25th.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys win that game 30-23. So I'm going to say this at this point. The Commanders also understand the assignment. And you probably will see no more of Marcus Mariota this season.
Oh, he's done, yeah, because he got a quad, so he's done.
Right.
He hurt his quad. He's done.
So you're not going to see him. You're not going to see the Commanders go and get another quarterback. They're going to ride these last few weeks out with Josh Johnson. Yep. What, one more game? Boom.
One more game.
One more game. You understand the assignment? Go ahead and stay under 5 wins and get you a better draft pick.
Yeah. And it could be Josh Johnson's last NFL game. Potentially.
It could be next week.
Because he's 38. Like,
well, I mean, if he's like Philip Rivers, he can play till he's 44.
Yeah, but you get that think about it. He in the same draft class like Joe Flacco and like Matt Ryan.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
For real. Like,
but his arm doesn't have the same amount of wear and tear as theirs do either.
That is true. But
he's feeling a lot. You know,
but yeah.
But no, I feel you. Yeah. At some point, you know, you kind of like, I can still probably do it, but is it really worth it anymore?
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of these guys get to. And I think Philip Rivers had that itch. I think these games are going to scratch it. And then he's going to retire and restart his Hall of Fame campaignery.
And he got 5 more years of health care. When you got 10 kids, people think that's a joke. Like, he got millions of dollars, but you see the price of health care, and you can get 5 years of health care for free. He got like
playing 4 games,
right? Roger Goodell, I got eligibility at 41. I got eligibility. Free health care?
Right. So, yeah, you know, Cowboys eked out a victory. Yep. Good for them. I think this game actually worked out, in my opinion, for both teams. Commanders did put points on the board, but Dallas got that much-needed win. Commanders got the much-needed loss because at this point, you're jockeying for position. You're no longer worried about, you know, wins or losses this year. You're jockeying for position. Anything else you'd like to add there, Couch Coach?
Yeah, and it's just one of those, like I said, and to put good film on. Obviously, you look at what Bill, we call Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, aka Bill. 11 rush, 105 yards. He had that big, 80-something yard play. So that's another one where you put good film on. I know a lot of people, like you said, our fan base are really toxic, but and then you look at somebody like Newton. Yeah, so my bad. Josiah Newton, he had three sacks in that game. The Commanders, I think they had like 6 or 7 sacks on the game. So it's one of the things where you just want to look at this is kind of one of the things where you want to see who some guys that stand out that's potentially be on this roster in 2026, and just get some good film in. Obviously, I think Debo, what he did. I'm not sure if he'll be back with us, but I definitely think he put on some good tape on Christmas Day to solidify, hey, I'm still could be that Swiss Army knife on an offense. It may not be here in Washington, it just depends on the price, but this shows you, hey, even despite us having 3 quarterbacks, the emergency quarterback is playing. So they just let you know that the guy who that typically wouldn't dress is starting. It shows you just kind of how it is with this team, it's just one thing where you just show good film at this point. And like you said, the wins and losses, it is what it is. This Washington Commander team got tons of holes, so it's kind of interesting of how well they will be as far as draft positioning and who will be available for them. Because I mean, there's so many different names, but it's almost like it's weird. Like when people say, "Oh yeah, get this bro, the Caleb Downs," then you got Jeremiah Love, Carnell Tate, and thinking to myself, well, okay, the roof is leaking, the foundation is a little shaky, the plumbing is bad. It's so many stuff, so many holes on this team. So it's like, yeah, it's not gonna be a quick fix. So it's like, who will be the best available is gonna be who it is, like you said. And if you're at a point where the better positioning you are, the better the pick that you can have, or the better person that can at least help something. Somebody can fix the roof, or somebody can fix the foundation, or somebody can fix the plumbing. But this team has tons of deficiencies. So we got to roll up our sleeves at the Philly next week. So, and then that's when the fun part happens.
The good news is you'll probably be playing our backups too.
I want Sam Howell to play. I don't want Tanner McGee. I want Sam Howell to play.
You probably see him in the second half.
I know. I want to see Sam ball because he should have, honestly, off subject. He should be in Minnesota balling because that Max Brosmer, nah, dude.
But he was, in all fairness, he was never supposed to play though. You know what I'm saying?
I know, but I'm saying
he's like their Josh Johnson.
yeah, he's the emergency because that's why they got Carson Wentz because they didn't look at Sam as the backup.
Yeah.
But I'm like, man, I definitely want Sam Howell to play. I want him to ball out.
We got 2 games to preview. 4:05 and 4:25 p.m. Eastern time. So we'll start with the 4:05 game. We've got the number 1 pick bowl.
Yeah.
The New York Giants at 2-13 versus the Las Vegas Raiders at 2-13.
Yeah.
I look at this game and I say the Giants are not going to win this game because the Giants know they shouldn't win this game. The Raiders are going to try their best to not win this game too, but I think the Giants are going to do a little bit of a better job of not winning.
Yeah. So
I'm going to go with the Raiders to win the game, but winning the game just loses you the number 1 pick.
Yeah, man. Is this the Dante Moore or Fernando Mendoza Heisman Trophy winning bowl game potentially? So
I'll you this.
Yeah.
If you lose the Heisman and you go on rampages and all this stuff, bro, like you're not looking good to NFL scouts by doing this. I will say that.
Yeah. But it's going to be really interesting. Like you said, I think this is going to be a game. Like you said, this will be essentially the clincher to who is going to get the number 1 overall pick. And like you said, this would bode well for the Giants to lose this game. But where you have the correct quarterback, both of these teams would need essentially a quarterback. Obviously, with Geno Smith not cutting it, I think because what's he start now, Kenny Pickett? Because I think ain't Geno hurt.
I think Geno hurt, yeah.
Yeah, so Kenny Pickett is playing, and I know Aiden O'Connell. I know a lot of people looked at Aiden O'Connell, but he got hurt as well too. So, I think whoever loses game is going to get their potential franchise quarterback, and I kind of low key I want the Raiders to win, but But it's one thing too. It's weird. Like I don't know. But I think the Raiders will win this game in a strange way. But like you said, the Giants, we should root for them to lose, so they get that number 1 overall pick.
I'm always up for rooting for the Giants to lose.
For sure.
I'm always up for that. All right, then we've got interesting matchup.
Yes.
The Philadelphia Eagles versus the Buffalo Bills. And good people, this game is in Buffalo. And that Raiders game is in Vegas. So we're going to Buffalo. I will say this. That Canadian cold in Buffalo is a little different, but we're still used to cold. So I don't think it would affect us as much as it would a warm weather team. I mean, you can't go into that Canadian cold and it not hit you at all. But I think the difference will be more minimal. I want to say I feel like this is a must-win game for the Eagles. And I want to say that from the standpoint of still can possibly, would need some help, but could possibly get up to the number 2 seed. I think number 1 is out of the question. I think with a little help, we could get to the number 2 seed. Because I feel like the 3 best teams left are all in the NFC West. The Bears are kind of like, we're good this week. We're not next week. So I think win this game, not saying it's a definitive thing because you do still have to look at teams like Green Bay who have that tie that could be a big, detriment. But if the Raiders will go ahead and take care of Green Bay and then the Bears go ahead and catch an L as well, that could, to the 49ers, which I think will probably happen, that could help out our aspirations to get back to the number 2 seed. Just throwing it out there, but I think the more so the Eagles competing with, if not beating, a quote-unquote Super Bowl caliber team. Because you look at who's not there in the West. I mean, the AFC, no Mahomes, no Burrow, right now no Jackson. So if Josh Allen can't do it this year, don't ever mention. If he cannot win a Super Bowl this year, don't ever mention his name before you mention Jalen Hurts' name in top quarterbacks. Period.
Yeah, this is it for him. Yeah, and this is weird. This is a sneaky good game, and it's packed with so many playoff implications. It's funny like how these games, like this week is so big because it could just change, like you said. The dominoes can fall essentially, like we talked about it, because that Sunday night game, the Bears and the 49ers, that's in San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
So that's another one if they get there, because you got to think about it. It's almost like if you are that 2 seed, it's almost going to be almost literally like pick your poison. Essentially, if, whoever drops down the NFC West, you'll probably end up playing one of those 3 teams. And as they become the 7th seed, or maybe like Green Bay or so. And then with Buffalo, they still have a chance to win the AFC East, because they only one behind with New England. Obviously, they got the Jets next week, so it's just like week 18. But it's so many players, and like you said, and this especially if Buffalo could at least have a home game, because I think even if they were on the road, throughout the whole playoffs, I still think they can take care of business because a lot of these teams lack the inexperience compared to the Buffalo Bills. So for this matchup, I don't know, man. This is going to be a good one. And it's at Buffalo. I think I'm going to give the Bills the shot for this one. I think they.
Well, I know who I'm going with, so I know.
Oh, yeah, we already know where you're going. Yeah, I agree, but I mean.
50-50 to me. Every Eagles game the rest of the season is 50-50.
But that's a that's a and Buffalo, and it's weird because Buffalo, and that's what I find funny about Buffalo, because I think Buffalo's been skating by in a sense, but I think that's what you need to do this time of year. Yeah. Like it's fly under the radar, and I think a lot of people are looking at it from the standpoint of they're struggling out the gate. But it's still, this team is still 11-4. Like that's their standard. They do this year in and year out, and it's almost like everybody think that they're just like kind of fading, because I guess obviously the flavor of the month, the winning Patriots, and that's another one. They beat them 2 weeks ago, and it's almost like New England had them dead to rights, and then they come back, and they're another team where it's like that's where it's like you can't count that team out. They're going to be a really like you said, the road to San Francisco is paid for them.
Mm-hmm.
They have this is it, like because obviously there'll probably be some other years to contend, but this year is it.
You got to at least get there.
You got to get the Super Bowl. You got to get to San Francisco. I don't want you to lose your fifth one, but But
and speaking of playoff pictures,
yeah,
AFC playoff picture. Number one, Denver Broncos at 13-3. They have clinched the playoff spot. Number two, the New England Patriots at 12-3. They have also clinched the playoff spot. Number three, the Jacksonville Jaguars at 11-4. They've also clinched the playoff spot. At number five, we've got the Chargers, the Los Angeles Superchargers, 11-4. In the sixth seed, we have the Buffalo Bills at 11-4. So, three of our four divisions have a team that clinched the playoffs: the West, the East, and the South. So that leaves the North. So the battle is for the North, and then who's going to be the last playoff seed. That's the two battles in the AFC.
Yeah.
So the teams that are in right now but haven't clinched. Right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers are fourth place with 9-6. They're ahead of the AFC North. And right now, the hottest team in the NFL, the Houston Texans, 10-5. They're sitting in seventh. Now, right outside of that on the bubble, we've got the Colts at 8-7 in eighth place, and then the Ravens at 7-8 in ninth place. The Ravens have a must-win this week against Green Bay.
Yeah, must.
The Colts have a must-win against the Jaguars. Still might not help them enough to get them in, but they have to win that.
Big time.
Now, your full list of eliminated teams. I need to go ahead and take a sip of water before I start because the list is long. Miami Dolphins are out. Said it a couple of weeks, and not you, but some people say, "Oh, they still got a chance." No, they don't. They're out. The Kansas City Chiefs, they're out. Cincinnati Bengals, they're out. Jets, they're out. Titans out. Browns out. Raiders out. So these are all, they've been eliminated, mathematically eliminated. No way for them to make the playoffs. So I know we kind of been talking about the AFC and NFC a little bit the whole time. Any thoughts on the playoff picture?
AFC wide open. And the thing about it is so fluid. This could change, and that's gonna be the beauty of Week 18. Because, like I said, I think the AFC North is sold up. Because Pittsburgh got to play Cleveland, so I'm thinking that they'll win that game, and then obviously no Lamar for the Ravens, even though no Jordan Love for the Packers.
Right.
So it's kind of one of those where can Snoop Huntley do that? Could do that, and then also for Cleveland win and set themselves up for a winner takes all for the AFC North. It's going to be really interesting. And then seeing how this whole – because Jacksonville, quiet as kept, is pretty much in prime position to have the number one seed. Like, they're another one where they could be there. And it's just crazy, like how, and then you look at, like talk about Buffalo is really the only team that really, that has that as far as – the eons of experience. Obviously, we got the Chargers being in there also as well often, and also with Houston. Houston's another one where can they take that lead? Because I can see them potentially going on the road because typically they're the AFC South winner for especially in the CJ Stroud era. But now they will take their talents on the road in wild card weekend, and like you said, they're the hardest team in the league. And and that another one you fly on the radar because everybody kept on saying, well, this Texas team is not good, but We know that defense is etched in their personality and their head coach D'Amico Ryan. So, yeah, we'll talk about NFC. Or you want to do the NFC or just my overall thoughts?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you. We're gonna flip it. NFC. We're gonna start with the eliminated teams. So the eliminated teams, basically, we have 2 teams fighting for one spot in the NFC. Everybody else is already done.
Yep.
So the Vikings eliminated from the playoffs. Detroit Lions eliminated from the playoffs. Dallas Cowboys eliminated from the playoffs. Atlanta Falcons eliminated from the playoffs. New Orleans Saints eliminated from the playoffs. Commanders eliminated from the playoffs. Cardinals eliminated from the playoffs. Giants eliminated from the playoffs. Teams on the bubble. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 7-8. They lost to the Panthers this week. So right now they're out. The Panthers are in.
Ooh.
For the Panthers to clinch, there's 2 scenarios where there's one scenario where the Panthers can clinch this week, and then the head-to-head matchup, if that doesn't play out for the Panthers, would be their last shot next week. The head-to-head matchup against the Bucs. So they basically did the Panthers and Buccaneers like they did us.
Yeah.
So the Panthers are in 4th right now, but again, that's that last spot, and they haven't sealed it up yet. The Panthers played Seattle. If the Panthers beat Seattle and somehow miraculously Miami beats the Buccaneers, then that would actually go ahead and put the Panthers in, because it would give the first tiebreaker wouldn't apply because they'd have that game next week that hasn't been played. But the second tiebreaker is common opponents. So that would give them the Panthers the edge in the common opponents if they beat Seattle and Buccaneers lose to Miami, which would allow the Panthers to get in. Now, if the Panthers lose or the Buccaneers win, or both of those things happen, then it's the head-to-head next week, winner takes all. So that could be set up an interesting matchup for the final week of the season, and maybe the only game that really, truly 100% matters.
Yep.
So we'll see how that plays out. All right. So besides the number 4 seed, everybody's set. So number 1 seed right now, Seattle, they've clinched. They're 12-3. Number 2 seed, the Bears, they've clinched the playoff spot at 11-4. And number 3, the Philadelphia Eagles, they have clinched the playoff spot at 10-5. In 5th place, the 49ers at 11-4. 6th place, the Rams at 11-4 as well. And in 7th place, the Green Bay Packers at 9-5-1. So it would be interesting. But Philly wins his last 2 games. Like I said, the Bears lose at least one. That gives us a good chance to move up. It'd be nice if the Bears lose the last 2. But, can't always get what you want. So I feel like like you said, you're going to have 3 teams from the West and 2 teams from the North are going to be in. 1 team from the South, they haven't been decided yet. And then the 1 team from the Beast, which is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. Your thoughts on the NFC playoff picture?
Yeah, it's only one. Only one game that's really going to matter, because I definitely think this will be the Sunday Night Football last game. Is going to be Tampa Bay versus Carolina for the NFC South. Mm-hmm. And man, and that's it. To me, that's still crazy to think that the Panthers are literally on the doorstep of going to the playoffs. This team, where 2 years ago you can see them play the Saints for $1.15, and they can get ready and they're potentially going to host a playoff game in Uptown Charlotte. And that's just amazing. And the whole turmoil of this team. I remember when Bryce Young got benched, I thought that was over for him. And when they started Andy Dalton, I think about a year ago or so. But because everything else is pretty much sold up. And this is another one too where the seeding is going to matter. So it's going to be interesting. And that's why I said the NFL is the greatest reality television show of all time. because now you're looking at how week 18 is going to play, because they're going to try to make sure that you don't scoreboard watch, because they're gonna find a way, like, because they'll have some games on Saturday, like I low key want us to play on Saturday, just get it over with. Because I just want the season to be over. I hope we play like next Saturday, but I don't think
they might put Tampa Bay and the Panthers on Saturday though.
Yeah, I think if Pittsburgh and Baltimore, because matter of fact, because I'm gonna see because like you said, it could be a situation like if Seattle and either San Francisco or the Rams play each other, and that could be for the number 1 seed in the NFC, which that's huge, because the winner of that's gonna get a bad week. Then that one they're gonna actually unfortunately be on the road. So like you said, I look at it like you said, it could be a situation where I think if the nightmare scenario happened and Shedeur Sanders beats the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then the Ravens win against the Packers, I think that might ultimately be the 8:00 final game of the regular season one. But like you said, that could be like that 8:00 matchup on Saturday.
The Seahawks and 49ers play week 18.
Because that could be for the number 1 seed in the NFC.
The Rams and Cardinals also play, but that should be way more of a budget.
Yes, yeah. But they'll probably do like a little man trick with them. Like, well, now they probably still be at 4:00 either way, so they'll probably be scoreboard watching. But like you said, if it could be a situation if they kind of hold serve, well, I don't know. Because if Seattle win, and because they pick Carolina, and then San Francisco take care of business against
the Bears,
Chicago, that could be for the number 1 seed, which probably more of a bigger storyline, considering the fact that the winner has a bad week. The other one, they'll be on the road, and like you said, they might go to which they might be messing around, fall to the 7th seed, which is crazy, potentially. I think maybe fifth or sixth, give or take. But I'm not looking at the schedule,
right,
the series per se. But yeah,
well, you got to see the tiebreakers and all that come into play.
Yeah, but they may not drop as far to 7, but they will be on the road in wild card weekend, so Correct. They won't have a home game. So like it's gonna mean something, because, and we know from a historical standpoint, typically teams that have that bad week, it's they in either conference, usually one of them makes Super Bowl. Not every year the number 1 seed in both conferences make it to the Super Bowl, but you have like one or two, maybe one year that does it. So that's huge. But yeah, that's
number 1 seed sure didn't make it last year for the NFC.
Nope. Who did that, old Joe? Who did that? Y'all, you welcome.
Hey, we was running over whoever showed up.
Hey, anytime, anywhere, we was on that, until we ran into a buzzsaw. Until we ran into that buzzsaw on January 26th.
Hey, it'd be like that sometimes. It just be like that. Hey. You've been on the other end of the buzzsaw a lot, trust me.
Hey,
But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, so that is going to be our episode. We were able to go back and kind of some thoughts and some takes on the last 2 weeks. Preview the 2 games from this week that haven't been played. Some thoughts on the Christmas game. I know the season is winding up. Y'all know how we do on the Beast. Well, again, it's the best division of football. As long as there's a team from the Beast in the playoffs, we'll be doing shows.
Yeah.
So the Eagles make it back to the Super Bowl, we'll be covering y'all up to the Super Bowl. If they don't, the week after they lose, that will be the last episode. But I'm hoping we go to the Super Bowl and after, and we're talking about another Eagles win, because I love to go ahead and get 3 out of the way.
Y'all hold the power. Yeah. We could be here past Valentine's Day, or we could be here after MLK weekend. The choice is y'all. It's up to y'all. It's up to y'all, Eagles. It's up to y'all.
The choice is yours. Yeah, man. So it's gonna be a fun end of the season and just play out, see what happens and how things move, and who goes where, who actually does what once we get in the playoffs. Because seeding is important, but execution and how you play is a little bit more important. So
Sure.
the 49ers, I'm sure, want to get the number 1 seed and not have to play away from their stadium once the playoffs hit. But of course, the Eagles and 5 other teams are hoping that they are not playing for a Super Bowl. It can't, and then their stadium. So this is your spot. That's where you learn the information. Playoff time, y'all know we start integrating a little bit more of NFL talk and maybe a tiny bit less of NFC Beast talk, just because we know what the goal is. The goal is to get another Lombardi Trophy and them rings. So gotta focus on that. Couch Coach, any last words, my guy?
Yeah, man. Once again, another great show. As 75% of the NFC East has been mathematically eliminated. And, so, hey, we here and, just bailing it out week in, week out, despite the wins, losses, the injuries, just try to come on every week and just and bring you the latest.
And by the way, Jalen Carter is going to be back this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And Jordan Davis was not giving up a spot on the Pro Bowl team. I'm sure it's going to be a little extra motivation for the whatever remains of his season. So, thank you, NFL.
For sure.
Thank you. But yeah, good people, we are at that point. Always remember 2 things. Number 1, the holiday season. Check on your peoples who have lost, whether that's a hard breakup, a divorce, a deceased significant other, parent, brother, significant person in their life. It's hard, but when you have people to check on you and people that care, it makes a difference. So make sure you check on those people. And then also, it's never where you start, guys. It's always where you finish. And we have completed another episode of NFC Beast. We will see you back here next week. Win, lose, or draw. At least some of us.
Thanks.
For my guy, the couch coach, it's your boy Cool McCain. Go Birds. We out.